that we are in a bad space in many African countries as regards the quality of the politics that we operate. And it's not lost on me that in many African countries today, politics is about life and death. And the competition is cutthroat competition, and throats are actually cut. I'm not speaking figuratively. Throats are actually cut in political contest. Has it not been lost on you that in the recent past, in very few African countries, do you ever hear in many African countries that a loser has picked a phone and called the winner and said, "Brother, we had a good competition. The people spoke." The lingua franca after every African election is won. The elections have been stolen, they have been rigged. So in Africa, elections are either stolen or rigged. They are never lost nor won. And why? The reason is very simple. It is cutthroat. It is not a competition of ideas. It is a competition for occupying a lucrative casino so that the political office, the state house, or the government house is a casino where gambling is perpetuated on a daily basis. And everyone wants to be in control of that casino. So until the day that we are able, Mwalimu Nyerere saw these things. He said that State House is a holy place. He said, in Kiswahili, he said it better. He said, Ikulu ni mahali patakatifu. Ikulu ni mahali patakatifu. The State House is a holy place, and we must never convert it into a den of thieves. And one can extend that to Parliament. Parliament is a holy place, and it must not be a den of thieves. We must not build governments where we have Alibaba and 40 thieves. In fact, they are no longer 40. Since Alibaba went there, we now have Alibabas and many other thieves. Until we eliminate Alibabaism from our politics, we are going nowhere. How much you spend in election. We know what it is that would be expended when you are a presidential candidate, when you are a member of parliament, when you are a councillor. But there is a sense in which Chinua Achebe was right. Chinua Achebe, writing in 1958, said of a bird amongst his Igbo people that since man has learned to shoot without missing, a naked the bird has learned to fly without perching. So there is a sense in which now that we have made the laws, the politicians have also perfected the art of ensuring that they expend beyond the prescribed expenditure without being caught. But that is a step in the right direction. The other one is sensitization of the people. The people themselves must be sensitized. I said at the outset that one of the problems in Africa is the assumption, and I want to repeat to us, perhaps we are the better lot, but there is a sense in Africa in which the politician, whether they say it or not, actually believe that we, the electorate, are a bunch of nincompoops. They believe so. Many African politicians actually hold the electorate in great contempt. They think we don't think. And because they have hypnotized us in countries where ethnicity has taken root, they remind us that, you know, if you elect me, then our tribe is safe. If you elect me, then it is our tribe's turn to eat. So we believe that even if he is a thief, he is our own thief. I'm saying that what we must realize, whether we are in Uganda, whether we are in Kenya or Ethiopia, what we must recognize is that going forward, when we don't have good roads, those good roads, when we don't have good roads, the bad roads will affect all of us. It doesn't matter which tribe you come from. When you can't get medicine in hospital, it is not because of your tribe that you'll get treated. When you don't have good schools, the schools are bad for everybody. And therefore, the time for us is to wake up. You know, I'm now beginning to see people waking up. Look at what is happening in Algeria. The Algerians are telling their leader, oh, you may have been God's gift to us, but even the gods are now tired. Can't be great. Africa must be great. But in order for Africa to be great, we must inject what I've called at a different setting, we must inject hygiene in our politics. And there is something to learn from every civilization. One of the things that we can learn from the Western countries, which is positive, is that to a large extent they have now made competition in their political arena a competition of ideas. So that in many Western countries, a leader sees public office as an opportunity for service. So that when there is a vote in the United Kingdom as to whether they should leave or not, and they vote to leave, the young David Cameron leaves office. Can you imagine an African president saying, I'm now resigning because I lost the vote? He'll say, I did not vote. It is the people who voted. They do it, and there is something to learn from it. Look at what is happening again in that area of Brexit. Their prime minister saying, if you approve my plan, I will leave office. Oh, Mother Africa, where are your sons and daughters who are capable of saying that, Mother Africa? It can be done. It must be done. And you are the ones who are going to do it. And remember that the world is not very kind. All of us know. Every other person in every other part of the world is trying to ensure that they are at the top of the food chain. Where is Africa in the food chain? Are we at the bottom of the food chain, or we are at the top of the food chain? I am saying we are at the bottom, and going forward, we must fight our way to ensure that we are beginning to talk about things like nanotechnology. What are we teaching in our universities? Most of our universities, faculties of engineering have equipment that were used in Europe during the industrial age. I'm saying this rather melodramatically, but I'm making my point. We must change. There must be a linkage between the practicing consulting engineer and the universities. There must be a linkage between that and industry. It cannot be right that in this day and age, that linkage is not there. And I believe that under the aegis of Gamma and FIDIC, it can be done, and that deliberate efforts are going to be made to ensure that we move in that positive direction, so that Agenda 2063 is realized and the promises under the Sustainable Development Goals are also realized. I want to conclude this with this. Have you realized that several years having the time to contribute in an effective manner? You, the engineers who are here, must ask yourself the foundational question: are you really participants in the struggle to grow Africa? Is it possibly the case that if an African firm has to have a chance in a competition for some major project, they cannot succeed until and unless they are in collaboration with a Chinese firm or an English firm or an American firm? Is that the reality? And if it is it a good thing? These are the uncomfortable questions that we must ask ourselves. Is it the case that in this day and age, if your qualification is to be considered to be a qualification worth its salt, it must be obtained in some country outside of Africa, and that if you have a qualification from within an African university, then you are second-guessed by other civilizations? learn from other civilizations, but learning must not mean surrendering to them. I'm submitting to us that we surrender to them.